like
connection,
me
but
to be straight. Like you got to be not, you can't enjoy MMA. Like I don't think any straight people thoroughly enjoy MMA.
you are risking our ability to become the left's Joe Rogan. Do you know that?
I think you misunderstand what it takes to become the left's Joe Rogan.
That's
like, I think you
calling people gay,
fundamentally
I suppose.
misunderstand what it is. It's
Perhaps.
just people want, like, yeah, but also, like, why are you going around to just find gay men? Like, you think gay men are the biggest, is like a hotbed to find a pedophile. I feel like you would have a higher hit percentage if you went to clergymen.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just trying to save you time. I feel like you're wasting, you're like going to a fishing hole. It's got a lot of fish in it, but it doesn't have the fish you're trying to catch, my friend.
Yeah.
If you're looking for pedophiles, the fishing hole you should be in is the clergy. And even that's
Point
not
taken.
fair.
Now,
but then again, you're
that,
like a bunch of boys going to find a priest to be your father figure. It's weird.
Yeah,
it's just I find it hilarious. My favorite thing is when people are like, oh, I'm a macho straight dude. Anyways, where are the gay guys at? Let's go find them.
Okay, well, this is going on, and the constant demonizing of gay people, I would argue, has this as sort of its necessary conclusion. And you will, of course, hear no apologies, no accountability from any of the people who've been trying to convince their audiences for profit for years that every gay person is a pedophile and you need to stop them to protect your kids. But anyway, we're out of time. Thank you, Brett.
Thank you.
Pleasure having you here. I will hopefully see you at a party soon. Maybe at wrestling. We'll share a hot dog. Thank you. It's been a pleasure doing the show with you. And for everyone out there, I'm going to be leading the first hour of the Young Turks later on today. I hope that you all join us there. For now, stay safe out there. Stay sane out there. We'll see you soon.
Here we are. Welcome to Indisputable. I'm Sharon Reed along with Francesca Fiorentini. It never gets old saying the name. It's exotic to me, Fran. It's exotic. Your comedy is beautiful. Your commentary is even better.
Thank you.
The Bituation Room is a hit. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, hell yeah.
It's good being on with you. Apologize to viewers. I was eating a Triscuit right before we went on, just to give myself a little sustenance to
Yes,
get
good
through
to be
this.
on. Thank you for having me. Yes, my name is egregiously Italian, almost as Italian as Luigi Mangione.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm sure we are discussing some fallout, but so good to be on with you, Sharon.
Yes, he's made the cut, and we'll see how people are reacting days later, really weeks at this point, after the United Healthcare CEO was gunned down in Manhattan. But first, we will start with Donald Trump, the incoming president. If you can believe it, is backtracking. Backtracking on trying to lower your grocery prices. Donald Trump says it will be hard to bring down grocery prices, pinning hopes on lower energy costs and better supply chains. But many are asking out loud, they're shouting, wait, wasn't that part of your campaign promises?
We will end inflation and make America affordable again. We're going to get the prices down. We have to get them down. It's too much. Groceries, cars, everything. We're going to get the prices down. But prices will come down. You just watch. They'll come down, and they'll come down fast, not only with insurance, with everything. So tomorrow, I will end inflation. We will cut your taxes, end inflation, slash your prices. I will end inflation. End inflation. Slash your prices.
It's like a child who says, I'm going to clean my room. The room's going to get cleaned up. And it's years later now, and it still looks filthy. It looks ridiculous. But here we are. Asked whether his presidency would be a huge failure if grocery prices don't come down, Donald Trump responded, it would not. Blaming, here we are again, the Biden administration for the way it handled the inflation that led to higher food prices in the first place. NBC News with the reporting here. Look, they got them up. I'd like to bring them down. It's hard to bring things down once they're up. It wasn't very hard for you to bring America's mood down. That was instant for millions of Americans. But anyway, it's very hard. He said in the interview published Thursday, but I think that they will. I think that energy is going to bring them down. I think a better supply chain is going to bring them down. The supply chain is still broken. It's broken, Trump said. Now, you notice how he acts like this is, a thing in and of itself, that he has nothing to do with it, despite his campaign promises. It will come down, when it's ready. Scott Jennings snaps as Bakari Sellers accuses Trump of, doing just that, lying about the grocery prices.
What Scott was not accurate about, which kind of happens around the table sometimes, although I know you want to be.
Don't touch me.
I can't touch you.
All right, everybody keep your hands to yourselves at the table.
All right, but one of the things Scott was not accurate about, there was a reason why we have inflation in the first place. This is not Joe Biden's policy.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
This is. It's
sure
actually,
it is.
Of course it is.
It's actually no. Of course it's not.
Putting
Because
$2
you know
trillion
what?
in the.
Do you know what? Do you know why did we put
government spending
why
on
did
top
you?
of
But
the
why did that
government
happen?
spending?
Do you notice how things become instantly more childish once Donald Trump is in the air, just kind of permeating, marinating, whatever it is? Here we are. Isn't this a open and shut case here of you lied, you're backtracking now that you won, Francesca?
I mean, yeah, I'm struck by the way the two conservative commentators immediately blame Joe Biden. And if there's a silver lining of Donald Trump winning, it's that they'll have no one else to blame but themselves. Of course, they regularly and routinely, the MAGA movement is built on blaming other people for your problems. Let's blame Black people for having too many rights. Let's blame immigrants for wanting to work hard and so-called stealing jobs we didn't even want in the first place. But I'm excited for the moment when they're like, oh no, this is, let's say we're in year 2, prices have only gone up This is squarely on Donald Trump. So what's going on? And look, it's set up and knock him down, and he's doing it, Sharon, before he even gets into office. He's backtracking, right? He's like, I mean, it's very hard once they come up, and there's nothing I can do about it because it's Biden's prices. No, man. It's corporate pricing. And it is things like massive mergers, like the one that was just struck down by the FTC between Kroger's and Albertsons. Well, under Trump's new FTC chair, what do you think's going to happen when a merger like Kroger and Albertsons wants to come together? They're going to allow it to happen, which does what? Crushes competition, meaning you get one price, doesn't matter where you are, and that price only goes up and up and up and up because the capitalists, the monopolists know they can get away with doing it. So it's just amazing. And the other thing, Sharon, I think we all need to remember as we sort of look to how the Democrats get out of this massive hole, if they can ever get out of it, get out of the grave they've been digging themselves for the last 40 years, is basically look at how simple Trump says things. It's simple. You know, people used to mock Bernie Sanders for talking about the 1% constantly, but guess what? It stuck, right? And Donald Trump saying it's going to come down, inflation's going to be gone. He has no plan, but it doesn't matter. We are low information little gnats. We are completely strapped with our own work, our own drama, our own lives, trying to make ends meet. Guy comes along and says something really, really simply, I'm with it.
Yeah. I remember I celebrated it. I'm sure you did too, when Bernie Sanders was running against Hillary Clinton in the primary and said, stop with the damn emails. Paraphrase,
Right.
however he said. It's very simple. Okay. He's a simple man. The gloves, the scarves, we know that.
The mittens.
But the mittens, that's right. You mentioned Kroger, and let's not forget they were saying the quiet part out loud, because as this merger was being deliberated, the evidence showed that they were price fixing. That's what they were doing. Okay. It wasn't about COVID, wasn't about supply chain. It was, hey, I think we can get away with this. So you're absolutely right. You mentioned Democrats. They have a lot of work to do, as we both know, but might Trump and his simplicity, I prefer simpleton, help them recreate, redefine, resurrect what once perhaps was?
Using his own simplicity against him. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think
how
one
long
thing.
can this go on? You know?
And what's interesting though is, like, you know, one thing he did promise in 2016 when he won, or when he was running, was I'm going to fix the ACA. You know, and it's like nearly, you know, however many years later, 10 years later, it's like now people are taking matters into their own hands in an awful way, right? And you're like, no, he didn't deliver on that, but neither did Democrats. Sadly, Kamala Harris did not run with truly any healthcare plan, to be quite frank. So we made fun, remember, for many weeks of Donald Trump saying, I have concepts of a plan. But honestly, Kamala Harris didn't actually have a plan either. And so, again, like, we need strong, transformative, and quick action that can actually impact people. But yeah, I mean, it's just like, I don't understand how anyone could think Trump is going to be different. He lies as much as he breathes. And to be honest, no, he lies more than he breathes, because I feel like the brain doesn't get that much oxygen in that, like, meat suit.
But does he lie as much as he eats fast food? Tackle
That's
that.
maybe more like it.
Okay. All right, it was just a thought. You mentioned the United Healthcare situation and the CEO gunned down in Manhattan and the fallout. Millions of Americans on all portions of the political spectrum weighing in on this and the broken system. Seattle traffic sign hacked with the message, quote, one less CEO. Traffic sign in Seattle hacked by someone calling for more assassinations. Unknown person hacked a traffic sign in Seattle on Wednesday night or early Thursday morning to call for the killings of more business executives, a week after United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson was gunned down in New York City. In an unrelated story, one woman has been arrested for allegedly threatening a health insurance company after it reportedly denied her medical claims. Florida woman who said Blue Cross Blue Shield denied her claims was charged on Tuesday after police say she threatened the health insurance giant. According to the arrest affidavit, Brianna Boston, age 42, of Lakeland, called the company regarding her claims. Toward the end of the call, which was recorded, authorities stated that Boston said, delay, deny, depose. You people are next. Mediaite with the reporting there. Her words echoed those found on the shell casings. According to police, at the scene of 52-year-old Brian Thompson, the United Healthcare CEO, was gunned down last week. Casings reportedly feature the words deny, defend, and depose. The words appear to be a nod to the 2010 book called Delay, Deny, Defend: Why Insurance Companies Don't Pay Claims and What You Can Do About It. After the shooting, the book surged to number 3 on Amazon's bestseller list. Boston reportedly told police she uttered the words because it's what it is in the news right now. Because it's what's in the news right now. And that she learned about them from the Thompson killing. Police said she added that she does not own a firearm and was not a danger to anyone. She readily admitted that, yeah, that's exactly what I said, but I didn't mean anything by it. Lakeland Police Chief Sam Taylor said, well, you don't get to pull that back after you say it. Healthcare companies played games and deserved karma from the world because they are evil, the affidavit quoted her as saying. During a bond hearing, Boston's lawyers said his client is married with 3 children, has no criminal record, asked the judge to release her on her own recognizance. Instead, the judge set bond at $100,000. I have plenty of thoughts. I'll let you go first, though, Fran. I'll say this first, and then I'll throw it over to you. Brian Thompson should be here, and the healthcare system should be just obliterated, overhauled. I was going to use a bombed, but I won't say that because I don't mean it in the literal sense, but people are hurting because of profits. People are dying. What do you make of this, including the swift charges against this mother of 3 who, in frustration, clearly admits what she said?
Honestly, I think this is one of the most chilling stories I've read in a really long time. This is more chilling than someone killing a CEO. I'll be totally frank with you, because this is a mother of 3 who, in a moment of exasperation, which we've all been in when dealing with private health insurance, which we pay for with our hard-earned money every single month. And when she was denied a claim, she, in exasperation, said, "You all are next," right? It's a perfectly normal thing to say. Like, truly, in this moment, when you are dealing with the stress of potentially going bankrupt because your health insurance refuses to cover oftentimes what is a routine procedure or exam or anything else, treatment, and you get denied, and then, oh no, the feds are showing up at your door, and you're being held on $100,000 bond. I mean, let's be real, people. With $100,000, surely she could meet the deductible required for Blue Cross Blue Shield to cover whatever she asked for. Surely with $100,000, she might not even need Blue Cross Blue Shield. Now, if she had $100,000, I would suggest she doesn't pay for her healthcare like that, because I think that healthcare in this country should be a right and not a privilege that you break your back to pay for only to have your claims denied. The private health insurance industry has forfeited the right to provide us care, okay? And we need to rescind that right to them, all right? Providing care is a privilege, okay? And y'all have lost that privilege. I think it's wild that this happened. It's a crazy clampdown on the freedom of speech. And it is a signal that under Trump and under the current administration, the working people are the enemy. We are the ones who they want to lock up for our speech, not Elon Musk when he wants to, make cis a slur. So I am chilled to the core by this.
Yeah. So many are weighing in because they believe a crime was committed and is being committed by the healthcare companies, who are, through their refusal to do what people who pay their hard-earned money think is going to happen. They refuse to hold up their end of the bargain, leaving people in the lurch, leaving people having to make devastating choices, leaving mothers, fathers unable to reverse the fortunes of their sick children. This is sick. And this is why I think this story resonates with you and others, Fran. No firearm, no criminal record, mother of 3, frustrated, as you said, exasperated. $100,000 bond. We'll show you don't get to, no grace for you. Healthcare companies, $10 million and up in salaries and bonuses. Oh, the shareholders, they're just getting so much money. Oh, what about that anesthesiology thing, right? We're going to limit the time, anesthesia and this. Oh, we'll pull it back until you do it again when the spotlight's off of you. You're right. It is a privilege that should be rescinded. And our peers, although America likes to believe we have none in the world, already don't, they don't even understand what we're doing over here. Look to the north in Canada. You'll see what they have there. College students crossing the border to get health care,
Yes.
access, birth control, whatever it is. Simple things that the leader of the world who likes to lecture others and be the moral compass for the universe doesn't seem to get. I support this mother, and she may be on the line right now. I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, I mean, I think I honestly would urge people to contribute to this bail fund. I think this is an absolute a travesty. And meanwhile, there are people every single day. I mean, the FBI has said the biggest threat to Americans are white nationalists, are racist militias, are anti-government militias, are people like the Proud Boys who prey on our school board meetings and our children. And yet we're arresting a woman for an exasperated comment made because her life was possibly on the line and her finances. We know what side law enforcement's always been on, and this is further proof.
Yeah, it is. I had a liberal friend of mine send a group text, the three of us were on, and she said, this is despicable. What's going on the internet? That these people are saying just horrible things, and the CEO and da 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 da. And yes, we're all on the same page. You don't gun down a person, but you have some people, like on my LinkedIn page, who are saying, "Oh, he was everything right with America." No, he wasn't. He should be here, but no, he wasn't. I don't need to know the victim to know that he was part of a system that is broken, that is somewhat corrupt. Insider trading was being investigated at United Healthcare as well. He should be here. I'll say it again. You don't go gunning people down, but let's get real, because millions and millions of people feel like their loved ones have been murdered. Their loved ones.
They have been.
Yeah.
It's not just feeling, they have been. You're right.
Yeah. So it's a conversation to keep going. I didn't weigh in on the group text because I didn't want to go there. I would have had to, I mean, I like her, but it's a privileged perch to say, I can't understand people. Yes, we need to have a conversation. No, we don't need to have a conversation about the healthcare industry. We need to fix, tackle, dismantle. That's what we need to do. There's really nothing else to talk about. It's sick. All right, we'll move on. It turns my stomach too, I'll tell you that. And I have kind of been doing well. I started this little new healthcare routine prior to the new year because I don't like being like everybody. Oh, I'm gonna turn over a new leaf, New Year's resolution. I don't do that. And this was very helpful aid today as I reviewed the stories, because I don't have an appetite reading about billionaires who, well, before I get into it, I'll just say this. Anybody who's ever wondered what it's like to sleep with a billionaire because they're so bold and their money makes them so tall, I assure you, it's a very small experience based on this next story. You don't need to wonder, okay? They not like us. Well, here it is. Amazon, Meta, and Time Magazine kissing up to dear leader Donald Trump. In the lead to Trump's inauguration, the heads of major companies, there they are, like Amazon, Meta, have proactively tried to curry favor with the president-elect. I thought money said, when you have this kind of money, I thought you just don't have to answer to anyone. You do what you want to do. Well, not so much. Amazon said they're going to donate $1 million to President-elect Donald Trump's inauguration in January, which the company will also reportedly stream on Prime Video. Will they also beef up the numbers, tell us that it was the most watched inauguration in the history of the world? So I don't know how we can trust anyone anymore. Amazon confirmed the news to both the Wall Street Journal and CNN, with the Journal reporting that Amazon's donation was being prepared. As founder and executive chairman Jeff Bezos was preparing to visit Trump at Mar-a-Lago next week. Amazon also will stream the inauguration through its Prime Video business, a separate in-kind donation valued at $1 million, the Wall Street Journal reported, citing an anonymous source. Mediaite again with the details. Amazon founder and executive chairman Jeff Bezos has reportedly sought to align himself closer to Trump in the past year. Last week, Bezos declared that he was very optimistic about Trump's second term in the White House. I bet you are. Look at the glamour shot. Probably cost a fortune. You picture someone behind the camera saying, now smile, now laugh, so I can get the shot. Ha ha ha. And then look at it. They captured his essence. Whatever. In July, following the near-miss assassination attempt against Trump in Pennsylvania, which left one rally-goer dead, several others injured, including Trump himself, Bezos praised Trump's tremendous grace and courage in a post on X. Our former president showed tremendous grace and courage under literal fire tonight, he wrote at the time. So thankful for his safety. So sad for the victims and their families. Did maxi pad sales skyrocket on Amazon shortly after that statement? I don't know. I know others were at the convention with it on their ear. They cut one in half and said, we stand in solidarity with Trump. Bezos's owned Washington Post also declined to endorse a presidential candidate ahead of the election in November, despite having previously endorsed President Joe Biden against Trump in 2020. And former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton against Trump in 2016. Presidential endorsements do nothing to tip the scales of an election, wrote Bezos.
Sure.
Yeah, in an op-ed following the decision. What presidential endorsements actually do is create a perception of bias, perception of non-independence, ending them as a principled decision, and it's the right one. How's his fiance doing? And the yacht. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg reportedly contributed $1 million to President-elect Donald Trump's inaugural fund, an overture on a historically tense relationship with the Republican leader. Meta announced it removed restrictions placed on former President Donald Trump's Instagram and Facebook accounts in preparation for the November election. I'm trying to tell you, if you're wondering what it's like to be on the inside with one of these people, put the picture back up, please. I think you don't. Would you really wonder? Look at the picture.
I mean, he definitely got a glow up from before. That other haircut was just awful.
It's true. It's true. What are we doing here? What are we doing? I don't even need an answer because I know what we're doing. Despite Trump's prior threats to jail Zuckerberg for allegedly attempting to influence the 2024 election, the Meta founder seems intent on mending fences with the incoming administration. Contribution also places Zuckerberg alongside other tech leaders who are recalibrating their relationships with Trump as he prepares for his second term. Last month, he dined with Trump at Mar-a-Lago, showcased Meta's new Ray-Ban smart glasses, even gifting a pair to the president-elect. His policy team, led by Joel Kaplan and Kevin Martin, also met with senior Trump aides. How can we help each other? Time magazine owner now, Mark Benioff, congratulated Donald Trump. This was after the publication named the president-elect its Person of the Year on Wednesday. How about Menace of a Decade? And we go, I would go on with that title. We don't have to just have a Person of the Year every time. I understand it's tradition. But let's have some clarity here, a little context, if you will. Benioff is the founder of Salesforce and acquired time in 2018. In some years, this is a hard choice, editor-in-chief Sam Jacobs told MSNBC on Thursday. This year, not a hard choice. This was an obvious decision for those of us at Time. Hours later, Benioff tweeted at Trump and said, "There is promise in the country," and expressed a willingness to be working together. Has anyone studied what happens with people in North Korea, Russia, Turkey, other places where there is this dictatorship fear in the air? It's palpable. You can smell it. People think they clap, they see Putin on the horse with the shirt off looking absolutely crazy, looking like, an elf that belongs in the Lucky Charms box. And they think, oh, he's so powerful. He's so strong. Okay. Kim Jong-un, who just is a very small man, and I don't even know his height. I'm just saying he's this kind of weeble wobble thing that is so nasty. And
Weeble wobble.
That's right. And yet people are in the streets and they're standing at attention and they love him. He's the most eligible, da, 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 da. This is what this feels like.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Newsmax. No, go ahead. Yeah, and then I'll get to Newsmax because it just goes downhill from here.
Well, I mean, it is funny that some of these billionaires are following up with tweeting at Donald Trump, because it is very clear that all you have to do to get Donald Trump's attention is to tweet at him, make him the center of your world, and for a brief, fleeting moment, he will make you the center of his until the next thirsty idiot tries to tweet at Donald Trump and gets his attention, right? I mean, that's what this is. And they're buying him off with $1 million, which I think is very funny that Zuckerberg and Bezos are like, here's $1 million for your inauguration, when it's like, they're worth more than that. Like, if I were Trump, I would absolutely pit them against one another and be like, I think I'm going to need 5 million. Like, because why not? Because at this point, you could just do that to these billionaires. And they are terrified of any kind of regulation. They want to curry favor with you. Not that they should be afraid of regulation under Donald Trump's new administration. There's no way they're going to do anything to actually rein in the power of big tech. And, Mark Zuckerberg has to make up for the fact that he kicked Donald Trump off of Facebook in the wake of the Jan 6 insurrection, in part because all those radicalized boat dads were radicalized on Facebook itself. It's like, oh, okay, dude finally got the cue. And also, by the way, Trump wasn't even in power anymore. So it was, Zuckerberg could safely do it. It's so sickening. And yet, like, of course, this is the most obvious move. Everyone needs to boycott however they see fit. I'm a big old Instagram user, but I see the error of my ways. Get off of Amazon as much as you possibly can. These are ways we can try to, in our own personal ways, other than organizing, try to kneecap these billionaires who are kneecapping us.
We made you, we can take you. Well,
yeah.
And who knows for how much longer even the slight possibility of that will remain, because as they seize more and more power and take more and more of the pie and have left us with crumbs that not even a little mouse, forget about the city rats, they can't live off of these crumbs that they've left us, but not even a mouse is going to be able to feed a family on this kind of thing. Power, all of it, we made hell. They use the word dictatorship day one. It seems like it's happening.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Newsmax instructed staff to lay off Pete Hegseth. Can you imagine telling your staff to lay off a privileged white man with a big mouth? And they did. Fox News host Donald Trump nominated to serve as his Secretary of Defense after a segment bashing the pick sparked the ire of Trump himself. Nepo baby Greg Kelly, father was the police Commissioner Ray Kelly in New York, helms the 9 p.m. hour on Newsmax. He tore into Hegseth last week, calling him blackmailable because of his baggage. Blackmailable, okay? Saying you can't have this job because people will, Arguing he hasn't done nearly enough for MAGA to have earned the top job at the Pentagon. So the statement's all over the place, okay? Nothing about the sexual assault and this and that, just what the allegations, alleged sexual assault, the allegations do to this person. And oh yeah, he wasn't a big enough cheerleader, according to Nepo baby Kelly over at Newsmax. Soon after the segment, Trump's team got in touch with Newsmax CEO Chris Ruddy to express the president-elect's displeasure with the commentary. Multiple sources told Mediaite. One insider said Ruddy was shook after word came Trump was displeased. Again, North Korea, China, A lot of these places, they don't have obviously an open window into what's really going on. It's only what the state says is going on. That sparked action at the network, sources said. Friday, Newsmax Chief Operating Officer Elliot Jacobson convened staff at its New York headquarters to issue guidance in what one source described as an aggressive, panicked tone. Jacobson said that on-air coverage of Hegseth needed to focus on the positive. Is there positive? Jacobson told staff that if guests bring up Hegseth, hosts should explain to viewers that the claims against him are allegations and then pivot. Get off of it. Any issues following this will result in termination. Now, if this is true, as reported by media, I can tell you from inside the newsrooms I've been on that none of this is a shocker. That they said the last part out loud about you'll be fired if you don't, see your way out of this, that's usually not said. That's usually whispered, and then the HR person will start documenting you for leaving a Snickers wrapper on the floor or something. But this is this again hallmarks of a dictatorship. Your turn, Fran.
Well, I mean, this is Newsmax. That's what's wild. It's like, how much critical coverage of Pete Hegseth were they actually doing?
That part.
Right? Like, you can only imagine that they were sort of reporting what other outlets were also reporting, doing their own due diligence, but apparently you're not allowed to do that in Trump's America, and especially if you are an outlet like Newsmax. I mean, you must serve the king, so do not talk about Pete Hegseth, which is very ironic because the victim of a lot of Pete Hegseth's crimes, whether they be sexual assault, whether they be bankrupting two different veterans organizations that were funded by Republicans, all of the victims in this case were all Republicans. These were all people who were like, do not work with this man. In fact, don't be around this man. This man is a drunk. This man is financially irresponsible. And this man might actually assault you. And so it's incredible that like this is on their hands, and this is like, we care about this even though we are not, Republicans, because we care about all humans. Nobody should be assaulted. When you head up a veterans organizations, hey, veterans should be respected. Even if, the backing is some billionaire Koch brother situation, you shouldn't, swindle people who serve this country. But Newsmax, but Fox, but any right wing, mouthpiece is not supposed to care about that. We do that, right? We're the ones who do that kind of coverage. But yeah, it's truly wild the things they allow their own side to get away with. Pete Hegseth is so unqualified in every sense of the word. But I mean, how much can he do being drunk the entire time? We will see.
Yeah. Maybe the one thing he's qualified for, some kind of drinking contest, which the network does not condone. It can hurt you. It can put you under. But you're right. Completing the circle of disinformation, sure. Republicans raising alarm. Joni Ernst at first until she's not. And progressives, Democrats, it's the left who's just, they're doing things to this guy. They're trying to Kavanaugh him.
Yeah.
Kavanaugh should have been Kavanaugh, frankly. Okay. It didn't quite work out as he was foaming at the mouth.
Well, that's a really, just a last point on that. That's a really good point because, by the way, they're not going to do an actual investigation into Pete Hegseth. Just like they didn't do a real investigation into Brett Kavanaugh, we are now realizing all of the tips, and there were hundreds and hundreds of them received by the FBI, Trump's FBI. They made them go away. They didn't investigate them. We now know that they didn't investigate. And Sharon, that's what we have to look forward to when the Senate does their so-called due diligence and the FBI actually, looks into the backgrounds of these nominees. They will simply not.
Yeah, as Christopher Wray goes to spend more time with his family, or whatever he claims his resignation will do at the end of this administration to protect the Bureau, people need to remember and know all the facts, or at least as many as you're allowed to know. This is indisputable. Dr. Ritchie has the day off. He's earned it. Francesca Fiorentini is our special guest co-host today. Very funny, very witty, and very strong in the commentary. We look for more of it. We're going to get into one of my favorite segments when we come right back. Stay with us.
Now I'm going to do something very different here and read some one-star reviews of the Young Turks on Apple Podcasts. Donnie Franchise said, pretty much it's like listening to a trash compactor. Someone else said, negative, anti-American propaganda. And others said, out of context, misquotes, typical leftists who are afraid to debate, just smear. These two would be perfect for CNN or MSLSD. Well, Donnie, you might have a point, because I feel like a trash compactor right now after taking in all those garbage reviews. But thanks for listening anyway. We are, in fact, unapologetically progressive. And if you're not ready for bold commentary, then we're not the show for you. On the Young Turks, we speak up about the issues that matter, and we want to make positive change happen. And now here's why we actually do the show. Mariel Morales said, found this podcast from the true crime podcast, Fruit Loops, and other great progressive podcasts. I've become an instant fan of the Young Turks. Great conversation, great takes, very well composed, factual podcast, very informative. Love to hear that. Z55 said, it's a joy to experience such awareness and intelligence from fascinating people. And Anna is gorgeous and brilliant. Apparently I'm just fascinating, but I'll take it. Paul for Progress said, news well delivered. Appreciate it. KOOK said, Democrats and Republicans are fair game for TYT, and if Anna or Cenk provide disinformation about anything, they will admit they made a mistake and correct it. We appreciate you noticing that we are honest. To people who actually listen to the substance of the show, thank you. Your listenership supports what we do. Leave a 5-star rating for the Young Turks on Apple Podcasts. Let's take the ratings back from the trolls. Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. Here at TYT, we understand this. That's why we're not going to price gouge you or use inflation as an excuse to raise our prices. A TYT membership is not your typical subscription, but basic membership is still just $4.99. So what do you get for that price? For starters, you're getting exclusive programming, unique, exclusive designs from Shop TYT, access to a members-only chat, giveaways, emojis, and so many other amazing perks. But most importantly, you're helping to make an impact. As a TYT member, you not only help us do the shows every day, but you drive real positive change in the process. In 2017, we helped to start Justice Democrats right here on TYT. That's a group that got a dozen progressives elected into Congress. That's amazing, you did that. Your support also funds TYT's very own investigative reporting. Just recently, our reporters exposed the Fellowship Foundation and pressured lawmakers into boycotting that bigoted event. Isn't that amazing? We raised over $30,000 for Jackson, Mississippi, and delivered clean water to thousands of people in need. Our petitions, polls, and community of activists help keep the corruption of Washington in check. That's the impact of what just $4.99 a month from our members can do, and we're just getting started. Positive change doesn't occur overnight, but with your contribution, we can make it happen together. You know that viral video you saw of me? First of all, it's bull. Second of all, they got it from a snippet of the live show. You should check out the live show so you see the full context of everything we say. Weekdays, 6 o'clock Eastern, Young Turks on YouTube or wherever you get TYT.
The support we receive from members is the backbone of our movement to drive positive change. We need viewers like you to keep moving forward. Visit tyt.com/team and join our movement today.
Welcome back to Indisputable. Sharon Reed alongside Francesca Fiorentini, host of the Bituation Room today. Dr. Ritchie has the day off. And I do want to get to some of your comments. Always appreciate the TYT community because you're so vocal. And you know, you can say whatever you want. Purple Rain Dragon, TYT member, I'm here for this combo today, echoing the sentiments of others. Let's go, ladies. You two are my favorites out here doing this news commentary thing. You both are appreciated voices around these parts. Well, thank you, Purple Rain.
Thank you.
That's who needs to be nominated, not tearing down women like Hegseth. Not, you know what I mean? Why not nominate someone like Purple Rain
Sure.
Dragon?
Oh, I'm sure
who-
Purple Rain Dragon is way more qualified than
Thank you.
Pete Hegseth.
And we have not checked the resume, but we already know.
I
The
know.
comment alone. We
I know.
Lynn, it's indisputable that having Sharon and Francesca as host is the best way to end the week. Thank you, Lynn. I always can count on you. I love Lynn. And I don't think I've ever disagreed with her. And not because, you know, I'm trying to cozy up like Newsmax and Facebook, Meta, Bezos, the small billionaires who are kissing up Trump time. Nostra Science says watching the right-wing corporate Dems and far-right GOP push through in Congress a new law outlawing the critique of private healthcare industry. It could happen. Someone will propose
yes.
it, most likely. Though someone will propose it, and it won't be shouted down. Lady T, as much as I love the doc, it's always a pleasure seeing strong women at the helm. Thank you. About Luigi Mangione, I butchered it, but you know how to say
Oh,
it
you
better
got
than
it.
I
You
do.
that's
Okay,
it. That's
Luigi
it. You just
Mangione.
that's perfect.
Right, something like that. I put a little spice on it. YouTube, Malcolm X says the only thing about this story that could make it any stranger is if Luigi had a brother named Mario. Okay.
Indeed.
Okay, well. Big Dendy Piccolo at the inflation wouldn't have been so high if someone, i.e. Trump, didn't screw up the COVID response. Oh, yeah, you forget about that, right? Remember? He
Yeah.
just said, don't wear mask. You know, nobody needs it. What vaccine? Oh, yeah, I need the vaccine. Paxlovid, right? What was it? Was it Paxlovid? What's the drug where it shortens the duration?
Yeah,
Trump got it.
Paxlovid, yeah.
Yeah. So it's true. Let's get you a couple of others. Twitch. This is like the Time magazine named Hitler Person of the Year in the 30s. You think so? Velvet Goldmine? Well, that's what I mean. It needs context here. Okay. Octo Squiddies. We're going to take the prices. We're going to shrink them. And you ain't did a thing, Trump, except make things go even more chaotic as you are not even in office yet. You're having the Trudeau and all these other people head down to Mar-a-Lago, which, you know, it is what it is. You voted America, and this is what we're going to be dealing with. Speaking of dealing with, as you know, if you are an avid viewer of this segment, this indisputable powerhouse program, you know that you have to just deal with them. They're not going anywhere. They're multiplying, I believe, and I believe the data, the science will back me up on that. And they're becoming increasingly combative. And they're everywhere, so we can't escape them. You can't say, oh, you know what? I think I'll go to the islands and get warm. I deserve a break. You can't even have a staycation and avoid these people because they might come to your door or peek in your window. We've done segments where they've walked right in the door and upstairs and said, turn the music down.
Yeah.
Okay. Which I would have said at that point. I wish a Karen would.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
I feel free! Back off!
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
What did you call me? What did you call me? I'm not welcome here? I'm not welcome here.
Move the car. No more parking there. Park right here, and I'll be watching you. Okay? Can you look at me, miss? Okay? Move the car, or I'm calling the police.
Okay. You're harassing me on my property.
What?
You're harassing me on my property.
I'm not harassing you. I'm asking you to move your car and quit blocking people's parking.
Okay.
Okay, what is your name?
I'm not gonna tell you my name.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and record you as well.
Okay, bye, lady.
Bye-bye.
So long story short, we've lived here, bought this house a few years back. Since we bought the house, you know, we got plenty of family members here. They all park right here in front of the house, public parking. This lady does not like when we park on that side of the pole. She's called the cops on us several times. We've had issues. Cops come out. Nothing can be done about it. Again, public street parking.
So here we have it. Here we have it. A racist Karen harassing a family over street parking. And as we looked at the video, Fran, I noticed two things that were signature Karen. Holding an open beverage. They seem to do their best work while they're holding some kind of beverage. The other telltale sign was the threat about "I'll be watching you." Now, the thing that does not generally comport is the look, the tortoise outside of a shell look of this Karen, who was moving quickly enough, ironically, to call out a family for doing what? Parking on the street. Okay. You weigh in now. What do we do about these people? This seemed ugly, but not as confrontational as some of the ones we've seen. You kind of shoo them away, document it, and go on with your day. What say you?
I mean, this is in California, so once again, people who think that liberal California is out here, supporting immigrants. No, in fact, some of the most racist people might be your neighbors, and it's just very funny that you're like, this is how you treat your other neighbors. This is the neighborly thing to do. And I do think Trump and the MAGA movement and the right more broadly has emboldened this kind of behavior. And they, it always starts with something small, right? It's always a parking thing, right? It's always some small perceived slight. And then a Karen blows up into, why is your kind here? And again, what the MAGA movement has emboldened is the ability to say that, just to say that to somebody and have that be like a perfectly normal part of your argument that's just a regular parking argument for no reason. This woman's drawing invisible lines in her little, gated community there. And it's just, so again, people are bored. People are bored. They're racist. They have misplaced anger. And the only person capitalizing on it is Donald Trump.
Yeah. He emboldened these Karens. He may be dispatching them for all we know, but
sure,
it's gotten so bad at this point. I remember one of the groundbreaking Karen segments that we covered, I wish a Karen would, was a gentleman who had a visit from a senior, we'll call her a senior Karen, who showed up, something about your lights are too bright and they're keeping me up, and just had a million excuses. And he said, you know what? If you want some companionship, come on in, get a cup of tea and I'll be your friend. And it really diffused the situation because she was bored, as you said. She was bored, and he offered her an olive branch of friendship, and it worked. But that was some time ago, and the rapid decline of the Karenicity community, I don't know that would work in this case or any other at this point. I'll give you the last word.
Yeah. I mean, again, it sounds like this is someone who's been harassing them for a long time. If anyone should call the cops, it is definitely the people filming and not her.
No, we'll leave it at that and get to another Karen who walked away with a huge payout on an unfulfilled contract because she didn't understand that blackface was offensive. And she's working again, and she's pretty successful in her arena. She's pretty successful in her arena and unbothered by past comments coming out of her whatever. Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly is at it again, and she's still mad. I never known someone to get a payout like this. I mean, how many tens of millions of dollars did she get from NBC? And she's still mad. Only in America can this kind of privilege have something to be so angry about. This time, Megs is mad at Caitlin Clark over her acknowledgement of white privilege. She made the comments. Here's what Megyn had to say.
What does Caitlin Clark do? Like, this woman who's a superstar, she's the Michael Jordan of the WNBA. The players of the WNBA can't stand her. Why? Because she's white. It's abject, absolute racism. It's total racism. All really we want to hear from anybody about this is thank you. Thank you to Caitlin Clark for making our league relevant and so on. But instead, she's been bullied repeatedly by the players in this league. She's been assaulted physically. And what she says is she feels the need to acknowledge her white privilege. Basically, she's sorry she's white. She feels really bad about it, though, so you should give her a pass. And then she makes a point of saying the ones we really need to be celebrating are the black women on whose backs this league was built. It's true that most of these black women have been bullying her and want her to understand it's their league. Hello, you don't own the league. Blacks don't own the league.
Ooh. She is coarse, isn't she? Megyn Kelly, among a handful of prominent right-wing commentators to express disappointment in Caitlin Clark's recent comments about white privilege. I mean, what was she supposed to say to Time? Santa is white? Would that have been fine? That's okay. Just say, co-sign on that and leave it at that, but don't say anything else groundbreaking. Don't learn anything. I don't know who Caitlin Clark really is. Maybe a publicist told her to say it, but she said it. It was, I think, the right thing to say and acknowledge. By the way, she's not the Michael Jordan of the WNBA. There are some incredible players. She has a lot to learn. She is good, though. She is good and she is tough. And by the way, she's not the one complaining about being assaulted. It's called a rough foul. And some say it was justified. That it was flagrant. But anyway, getting in the weeds. I'm getting in the X's and O's. This is not necessary, okay? We're not designing a pick and pop. You remember that play? Rarely used in the NBA anymore. Drawing back to my sideline days in the NBA. Do you know the players would tell off the coach and do what they want in the NBA? It's not like football. They say, hey, go in there. They say, I'm good, and just sit on the bench. I saw it with my own eyes multiple times. Anyway, here's what Caitlin Clark said that upset Megyn Kelly. Clark is cognizant of the racial underpinnings of her stardom. I want to say I've earned every single thing, but as a white person, there is privilege, says Clark. I mean, is that even groundbreaking? No, but it's appreciated. A lot of those players in the league that have been really good have been black players. This league has kind of been built on them. The more we can appreciate that, highlight that, talk about that, and then continue to have brands and companies invest in those players that have made this league incredible, I think it's very important. I have to continue to try to change that. She has some responsibility for the sport she loves in the league. The more we can elevate Black women, that's going to be a beautiful thing. Time magazine. I'll read her issue, not the other one. I take it back. I don't think she did have a publicist write it. I think that sounds very passionate and from the heart. That's what I think. I don't know. I don't know Caitlin Clark. Megyn Kelly would go on to post on X writing, look at this. She's on the knee, all but apologizing for being white and getting attention. The self-flagellation, oh, please pay attention to the Black players who are really the ones you want to celebrate. Condescending, fake, transparent, sad. Say it in the mirror, that last part, Megyn, is what you need to do. Despite Clark's acknowledgement of her privilege, there are still plenty of fans who took issue with her being named the Athlete of the Year when gymnast Simone Biles had a banner 2024. As usual, social media didn't mince words while expressing themselves. I like Simone Biles. I like her story, too. I learned more about it watching her personal story. I didn't know half the things she'd been through and her family. And she's a great one. They're both great. Who cares, right? One user wrote, by winning nothing, white privilege at its height. Simone Biles broke Olympic records, but Time named a woman who won nothing as Athlete of the Year. I mean, I think that there's a point there, okay? And that's not against Caitlin Clark. That's a systemic thing that this social media user is pointing out. Another online poster wrote, Time not giving Athlete of the Year to Simone Biles or Katie Ledecky is a choice. Flowers to Caitlin Clark, but she'll have this opportunity in other years while these women likely won't. One ex-user wrote, I feel like I'm in a fever dream because how did she get this? As another replied to her, white woman whose team did not win a championship, while Simone Biles excelled in her sport. The argument for Biles is compelling. 27 years old, she dominated the Paris Olympics, securing 3 gold medals, 1 silver. Furthermore, her athletic resume is unprecedented. 11 Olympic medals, 7 of them gold, and a total of 40 medals across world championships and Olympic competitions, more than any gymnast in history, male or female. Our friends at Atlanta Black Star with that, oh yeah, that little asterisk, that little detail, most decorated in history, in Olympic history. I think they make some strong points. The story, though, has many twists and turns, Fran, depending on what you want to focus on. Megyn Kelly is beyond a mean girl. She is a rich, crotchety Scrooge of a woman.
See you next Tuesday.
It's just, thank you. And we rarely reference Tuesday.
No.
But I have to say, I'm not going to say, no, Fran, Tuesday all the way. I'll let you take it away.
Well, I mean, let's put aside the nomination, the selection of, Caitlin Clark for Athlete of the Year. The Time Magazine just had Donald Trump as Person of the Year. So I don't think we should be looking to Time to tell us who is notable and who is not. They're just trying to remain relevant. But Megyn Kelly and so many other racists out there are so mad that Caitlin Clark will not be their Kim Kardashian with 3 Ks. Like, they're so mad that Caitlin will not rise to being like, the Aryan princess who gets mad at all the black women around her, because all they want to do is make her this massive victim of so-called reverse race. They don't even call it reverse racism. They call it racism, right? Against white women. And she doesn't go along with it. And not only does she not go along with it, she's openly expressing her solidarity, her respect for the black women who, yes, in large part built the WNBA and whom are her colleagues and her fellow athletes. And that makes a Republican racist skin crawl, because they could never, they don't see themselves. Every time they think to congratulate a person of color and support them, they think a part of themselves dies. They think, why can't I have that? Why can't I be that? Why do they get everything, right? That's their small little mind. That's what the racist mind does. Caitlin Clark rises above. Caitlin Clark is like, I will not be your white nationalist Barbie doll. I will not be your emblem. I don't need that. You all need that bag. You need the racist bag. I don't need that bag because I make money.
Yeah. Anytime you win, I'm losing. That's the mentality, You deserve something that somebody else should have. I once had a co-anchor on one show actually say to me, she didn't even realize it, and I knew I wasn't going to be in that city very long, so I didn't clock her tea or anything. I didn't even clap back. I just said it in my head, what a fool. And she said, the only reason I didn't get the job they brought me in to be the main anchor was because, I'm not black. Couldn't ad lib. Forget about breaking news. I had to cover all the time. She'd stammer and stumble and bumble around, not know the facts. You just can't be the main anchor of a show. You earn your money when the prompter goes down. There's no prompter. You have to see and say with the audience. She couldn't do it, but she couldn't recognize that. She saw her losing, and then when I left and she lost out on the job the second time, she demanded a trade, if you will, and opted out of her contract. But anyway, it's just my long way of saying what you just said.
Yeah.
It's just, this is ridiculous. And why is Megs still relevant? She has no shame, no self-esteem, apparently, as tough as she tries to act and bully others, because she's allowed herself, or perhaps this is who she was all along, to be bullied and tormented by Trump, and now she's his biggest cheerleader, sitting down with him sometimes asking.
And she thinks she's so cool because she drops the F-bomb on her stupid show. Like, you're so pathetic. It's so, as a comic who people use the swear words as crutches, and it's like, ooh, Megyn Kelly said the F word. Like, wow, she's crazy. And it's just like, I don't understand who wants to watch that show where you're just sort of angry, and she's always talking about, look, I support women, but this woman, and it's literally every single segment is, I support women, But this is my problem with this woman, and I'm gonna tear her to shreds in front of a all male panel. Please help me weigh in. And they're like, I don't know, girl. I don't think I hate women as much as you do. It's amazing.
It's amazing. I was thinking as you were talking, and I always love the background. It reminds me of like that kind of you're a comedian doing a special. And I thought, wouldn't it be great? Because I know you could handle it if Megyn Kelly came to one of your shows and started to heckle, just to give you the opportunity. Just to give you the opportunity to make her part of the show.
I effectively try to do that on Piers Morgan when I'm on, but yes.
Yeah, I remember that clip. I still go to that clip sometimes for inspiration. Okay? Ha, Piers. He got you, baby. You got him that day, friend. But it is what it is. Megyn's going to be Megyn. And sadly, the rest of us still have to sometimes encounter her. Let's go take a shower, shall we? Clean off the Megyn Kelly stench. And we'll be right back. Much more indisputable. Doc has the day off. Francesca Fiorentini joins me. I'm Sharon Reed. Much more to come.
Hey everyone, Matteo Scarapore here, author of Black Buck, which is Shop TYT's first fiction book ever. I'm honored. So, Black Buck is about a young man named Darren who's living in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. He lives with his mom, he has his girlfriend, he has his best friend, he has his neighborhood, and his neighborhood has him. Darren's also working at a Starbucks in Midtown Manhattan. And one day, this man, who's real suave and good looking, comes in and asks Darren to give him his regular. But for some reason, Darren says no. This man named Rhett Daniels, who's the CEO of a startup called Someone, located on the 36th floor of the same building, is impressed. And he invites Darren upstairs, and then he extends an offer to join his elite sales team. Darren reluctantly joins, and he soon realizes that he's not the only black salesperson there. He's the only black person in the entire company. So he goes through hell and back in order to make it to the top. And once there, he has status, money, power, but he says, you know what? I don't like being the token black guy. So he hatches a plan to help other people of color infiltrate America's tech startup sales teams, redefining what it means to be a minority in the workplace. This book definitely, if you couldn't tell, touches on many things that are relevant to this moment that we're all living in right now, but it's also connected to the many moments in history that have come before today. I hope that you read it, I hope that you enjoy it, and if you want to order a copy, go to shoptyt.com. Thank you, be well, and happy 2021.
Thank you for being members, by the way, of either TDR or of TYT. We really appreciate it. We could not do this, without you. Would I still be here without you? That is an open question.
I really love what y'all do on the Young Turks, man, and it's a very refreshing, voice. Y'all don't lean to one side. I tell people all the time, if you want to go really hear what's going on honestly in our society, you should tune in to the Young Turks.
Thank you, Charlemagne. We appreciate that.
That's awesome. Really appreciate it, brother. The rest of the news media says you should not fight for positive change. If you do, you're not really a reporter or a journalist, because reporters and journalists don't care what happens. I don't agree. That's not written anywhere. That's not a law. It's just a rule that they invented so that reporters didn't actually challenge the people that are in power. Well, we don't agree with that. We think we should challenge the people in power, that actually makes you a better journalist, not a worse one.
Hi, I'm John, and I'm new to TikTok, but about 3 years ago, I started my daily political news show, The Damage Report, because I noticed this trend where every morning I was waking up to this tsunami of news that was just generally dreadful and horrifying and shocking, and I thought that if I could spend my time helping people to navigate this, serving as a bit of a life raft, pointing out which news is important and why, there are worse ways to spend your day. We're not an average news show, and we don't want our TikTok presence to be average either, so feel free to let us know what you'd like us to do on the platform, and maybe give us a follow at The Damage Report.
All right, Amazon Prime members, here's how you can subscribe for free on Twitch. Start by linking your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, and then click that little subscribe or resubscribe button below the stream on Twitch. Scroll down and select the subscribe free with Prime button, and then you're finished. Close out immediately and share your little subscription alert with the chat. Send a cute message along with it, and bathe in the sweet, twitchy, Bezos-funded love. Hashtag Bezos Bucks.
Welcome back to Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Ritchie. Appreciate the viewership. Doc has the day off. He's earned it. Let's get to some of your comments. We appreciate you most of all. TYT powerful community of members. We'll start there. Andrew Martinez. You don't own that side of the pole, Karen. That in response to, she was out in California. Yes, they're everywhere, these Karens, telling a family, I'm watching you. I'll be watching you, and get off this side of the street. You're not to park on the street, which of course is ludicrous.
It's just like a bouncer mentality. Like, why is everyone trying to be a bouncer? You're not a bouncer.
Oh, I love it. You're not if that's not a damn show, you're not a bouncer.
You're not a bouncer.
I love it. That's your next one. Everybody's trying to be a bouncer. I'm going to repurpose that internally before you trademark it. That's true. We have a society full of wannabe bouncers.
Yes, just tattletale ass bouncers. It's like, are you getting paid for this? Who's getting paid for this?
Rope around here.
Exactly, exactly.
Woo, Lynn. Once again, I'm in full agreement. Megyn Kelly needs to shut up and dribble. That's right. That's right, Lynn. A bored Karen is dangerous, says Andrew Martinez. You double dipped on that one. YouTube now. Librio says she probably cries about free parking while playing Monopoly 2. You don't want to play with her. You're going to beat her every time. She's going to have something to say about it, right? Exactly. Let's see, about Trump. Well, I want to do this. I want to recognize some new YouTube members. Snack Panther gifted 5 indisputable with Dr. Ritchie membership, so we appreciate that. The new people can come forward with that. Dana Manning gifted 5 as well. So thank you to you. We appreciate you all. And we're going to move on to this one now. If you can believe it, cops accused of behaving badly. In this case, drunk, off duty, brutally assault innocent man at bar. Drunk off-duty cops brutally assault an innocent man, kicking him out of the bar after accusing him of not being a U.S. citizen. No arrest 8 months later. You're not part of ICE. And what are you doing? Asking someone for their papers. Do have the body cam footage of what happened after the incident. Let's play that.
I know you're illegal.
All right, let him go. You stay on the ground. Stay on the ground.
Oh, okay.
Just sit there.
Yes. They don't let me call police. They took my everything. I'm good. I'm legal. Everything. I want to ask those two people, why me like this? I'm legal. I'm U.S. citizen. Why?
Well, what happened?
I don't know.
You're involved in this? Yeah, I'm Dan. Nice to meet you. So what happened? No, he's not from the country. Okay. I work at a DEA. My partner's from ATF. Okay. And we started talking to him. He's like, I'm not from here. So he started like, shooting. I'm like, yeah, that was it. So we called you guys.
So there was no disturbance here or anything?
Oh, no.
Okay. We got a report of like a fight or a disturbance.
Oh, no.
Okay. So you just think he's here illegally?
Yeah.
He's one of the bouncers you're talking about, one of the wannabe bouncers. Asking people for their papers or not even doing that. There's no investigation needed, I suspect. He doesn't look like me. By the way, what does someone who's an illegal look like? This is America, right? A melting pot. You can come from Canada, right? Couldn't you be from Canada and just say sorry when people bump into you? And that's our only clue that you're not from here? That's what Canadians do. You bump into them and they give you this polite, oh, sorry. This is what occurred before police arrived. Two off-duty cops were drunk at a bar when they physically accosted an African man they believed to be a terrorist living in the country illegally, grabbing him by his wrist, forcing him out of the bar, where they threw him to the ground, sat on top of him until police arrived. What on earth? The man they attacked was a legal American citizen and refugee from Eritrea, working as a commercial truck driver, doing nothing more than minding his own business at the Buzzards Roost Bar in Hinckley, Ohio. I wouldn't go in a place named Buzzards. Lived up to the billing that night. 8 months after this incident, neither cop has been arrested or charged for the illegal detainment. The illegal detainment, assault, kidnapping. I'd throw the book. Isn't that what they're supposed to do? And by the way, if this is true, any part of this, Bolo, we got some dangerous gang members, in this case, cops, that shouldn't be walking the streets. Jonas Bakra Dengil told responding officers he tried to call police, but the two assailants snatched his phone. Theft. I'm just adding up the charges. And wallet from him. I'm legal. I'm a U.S. citizen, he told a responding officer. Witnesses inside the bar confirmed Gill's account that he was attacked without provocation. They were really being aggressive with him, bartender told police. They were trying to snatch his phone. They were turning his arm. Another witness sitting at the bar told police that he told the two assailant cops they were illegally detaining him. But they responded by telling him they were federal agents. Huh? One of the cops, Daniel LeJack, resigned earlier this month from the Lake County Narcotics Agency after being notified of potential disciplinary action against him, according to WKYC. Let me get this straight. Disciplinary action for committing a crime? We can get to that, but shouldn't the SWAT team show up or something? It's a manhunt for this guy. It would be if it were you. The other cop, Donald Kopchak, who remains employed by the Cleveland Police Department. Boy, I covered them for years. It's not surprising. Suspended for, 1 day in 2020 for rubbing a warrant in the face of a suspect. With pay, I wonder. At the time of the assault, both cops were part of federal task forces, including the Drug Enforcement Administration and alcohol, tobacco, firearms, and explosives, but were removed shortly after the incident. Again, that's great, but where are the charges? Where are the clink, clink? Case is still being investigated by the FBI, which has provided no updates, even though it should be a clear-cut case of false imprisonment and assault and battery, if not more serious charges. Can you get this done, Christopher Wray, before you go spend time with your family? Multiple body cam videos from responding Hinckley and Brunswick police officers reveal the two assailant cops believed they were keeping the community safe by attacking the truck driver. The Jack was especially concerned about being portrayed negatively in the media. I don't know what else to say, Fran, except for America, look at your life. This is now fully who we are. Don't talk about bad apples. Don't talk about how, there's some pockets of this and that. sing it loud and proud. Frankly, you should perhaps change the anthem to reveal who we actually have become. What do you say?
This is why I love this show, is because we're reporting on these kinds of stories that often go unnoticed by mainstream news or national news. But these are the kinds of acts of vigilante violence. And yes, these are police officers. They're off duty. And as you're saying, they have histories of misconduct before. But, it's just incredible. Like, he thinks he did nothing wrong. He's just simply stopping someone on his own accord because, again, we have a bunch of self-deputized Karens and Kevins who are also incredibly violent. And this is what we're going to be seeing a lot more of under Trump 2.0, which is people thinking, again, that their own safety depends on trying to find as many so-called undocumented people as they possibly can, deporting them, reporting them to authorities, holding them themselves, getting into altercations with them. It happened before, it will happen again, and it continues to happen. And it is, we are being, from the top down, radicalized as a society. And sadly, a lot of news organizations not only are not reporting on this, but are not helping us to deprogram ourselves from this extreme xenophobia.
Yeah. I think you're right. And that's why I go to the media time and time again. And that's why independent media is so important. Thank you for your contributions, because this is an all-out war against the truth. It is a war against bigotry and violence. And these networks, very few, TYT, a powerful one, have to keep going because of it. This is sickness, if you will, where the media is all too often complicit. I was one of the ones in the newsroom being told things like, you lay off Trump. We have to, be fair to both sides. I thought we could just go with the truth, guys. Silly me. This is Indisputable. I'm Sharon Reed alongside Francesca Fiorentini. Doc has the day off. Stay with us.
Magic. It's showtime. And say 45 minutes. I'm hosting today. Now I know what you're thinking, Jerry, your face is already perfect, but you know what? I still need to apply some makeup. I went through this process, right? A few years ago, when I realized that I was gonna have to wear makeup on the show. I had to go through like finding out what my undertones were. You guys know what those are? I got my MAC Cosmetics. It says SPF 15 foundation, broad spectrum. But apparently when I have is red undertones, and I think pores are not supposed to be seen. I need all these things to be confirmed for me. These sponge things don't work for me. You gotta use your hands. At least I do. That's how the magic really happens. So we're gonna go through a tutorial how to make the magic happen from beautiful to beautifuler. Let's go. I've already been moisturized. That's the first thing. But moisturization already happened. We go raw. All hands. Pick up a couple streaks. This is the guy way of putting on makeup. We got dots. There's some shiny points that generally happen. First of all, here we go. You dust here. I'm putting way too much, but you dust. Oh, get the excess off. You don't want chunky powder. There's like a T-zone, I think, right? Mine is a double T-zone. Because I went middle and another cross. Make sure your nose isn't all shiny. People get on you for it. They'll say, that's not a good point you made on there, JR. Your nose is shiny. You guys are picky like that sometimes. I think that's about it, fellas and ladies. See you guys next time. Bitsies.
Welcome back to Indisputable. Dr. Ritchie has the day off. Francesca Fiorentini, host of the Habituation Room, extraordinary comedian.
Coming up right after this show. Everyone
see
hop
that?
over to youtube.com/FrannyFio.
There
We're going
it
to talk
is.
about RFK Jr.
Oh, that's a titillating tease. We'll be watching, Fran, because you always have important things to say and shine a light where it needs to be.
Thank you.
And then there's this one, and I can't wait to turn it over to you. And I need you to wait for it. Don't just go with the lead. Just wait for it. This is how ignorant this one is. Hospitals reporting pregnant people to the authorities. Well, sometimes there's this mandatory report, I guess. Right? There's so far. I said, wait for it now. Hospitals reporting pregnant people to authorities for meds the hospital gave them. You did this. According to a new investigation by the Marshall Project, hospitals across the country are reporting pregnant people to said authorities for testing positive for medications that the hospital gave them. The report details several examples and stresses that these cases are far from isolated incidents. We got bigger problems than I thought here in America. Let's give you some details. In one heartrending case in 2023, a Texas woman named Amarani Salinas, 32 weeks pregnant, when she needed an emergency C-section because her fetus was stillborn. As the hospital prepared the mother of three for her procedure, they gave her midazolam. It is a benzodiazepine commonly prescribed to keep patients calm. The following day, while Salinas held her stillborn baby, a social worker told her, not, hey, I'm here to counsel you, any kind of mental health issues you may be having, your baby stillborn. Nope. Told her she was being reported to welfare authorities because a drug test revealed traces of benzodiazepine. Consequently, the state conducted an invasive 4-month investigation into Salinas, all while the report notes that she was still trying to fight off paralyzing depression while processing her grief and caring for her other children. This is stupid. This could have been cleared up in 10 minutes by admonishing a staffer that, instead, 4 months, money spent, and oh yeah, the most important thing, a woman who deserved nothing but emotional support was put through hell. Reveal with the details. Marshall Project also cited the case of an Oklahoma mother who tested positive for meth after giving birth. Her newborn and 3 other kids were put in foster care for 11 days until authorities realized it was due to the heartburn medication the hospital gave her. In New York, an unnamed mother lost custody of her toddler and newborn after testing positive for fentanyl because the epidural the hospital gave her had traces of the drug. One 2022 study found 91% of women given fentanyl in their epidurals later tested positive for it, which means you should know. And if you're investigating these kinds of things, you should know. Report gives further chilling examples of just how easily pregnant or postpartum people can find themselves under investigation by the state or even lose custody of their children over mere misunderstandings. So even if you're cleared, this stuff is on your record. This is sick. Marion General Hospital in Indiana did not respond to requests for comment. Brian Heineman, spokesperson for the Indiana Department of Child Services, declined to comment on Villanueva's case, but said policy has since changed to ensure that drug screen results alone are not used to substantiate an allegation of abuse or neglect. Thanks, Brian. Federal law requires hospitals to alert child welfare agencies anytime such babies are born. A previous investigation by the Marshall Project and Reveal found that the relatively inexpensive pee in a cup test favored by many hospitals are highly susceptible to false positives, errors, and misinterpretation. So, before I read the last part, have you ever looked at a hospital bill? A cheap test that's false positives are great, and they're probably on your bill charging you $50 maybe 200% markup on it. You can't do any better than this. Many hospitals have failed to put in place safeguards that would protect patients from being reported over faulty test results. Dumb and Dumber at play here, Fran. It just so happens that Dumb and Dumber are affecting the lives of the people who least deserve it. This is a no-brainer. So I have to deduce that someone is perhaps missing a brain.
I mean, this is another instance of violence against women, and specifically pregnant women who are facing awful situations throughout this country due to harsh anti-abortion laws that are causing them to bleed out because of miscarriages and possibly die. And now you're having hospitals report them to Child Protection Services, drug test them for the very drugs that they gave the patients. Fentanyl, which we talk a lot about, but what's interesting is if you've ever been pregnant or you ever went into labor, as I know, fentanyl is one of the options, one of the few options when it comes to pain meds that hospitals are allowed to give you. It's legal, obviously. It's not street fentanyl being given to people in labor, but it's fentanyl. And so then to turn around and test for that, to turn around and take a newborn baby away from a mother is absolutely unconscionable. It is wild. And 9 times out of 10, you know who this is happening to? Not 9 times, 10 times out of 10. This is happening to poor women. This is happening to women of color. We know who this happens to. We know who they would dare remove a newborn child from, dare put into foster care, and who they don't, right? It happens all the time. And this is just another example. Look, and look, while we're at critiquing our entire medical industry and our private health insurance industry, let's critique these hospitals that make also billions of dollars, right? They are massive money makers, right? And they also are not caring for pregnant patients the way they need to. This is another case in point. And it's not to say we discredit all hospital systems. I gave birth in a hospital. I didn't use fentanyl. I did have an epidural. Thank God. Big ups to the epidural. But like, it is not to say we throw it all out, but you wonder why people don't trust medical institutions when this is how they treat their patients. When you have maternal mortality rates going through the roof and Black maternal mortality rates are like on par with, the global South. So it's just, I'm so grateful for the reporting. I am so grateful for the Marshall Project, and I hope that I hope this gets national attention, and I hope that people speak to reporters if this has happened to you.
I do too, because as they said, these aren't isolated incidents. There is a war against women, an assault against our bodies, and it is clear. It's clear as day, and they don't care about us. Everything is just sign off, move the paper. There's no seemingly human analysis of the toll it's taking.
Oh.
There seems to be no kind of care and empathy.
Yeah,
seems to be none. Even a social worker. What other signs did you see? Trace amounts of this and that in someone's blood. Were kids well cared for? Like, what makes you? That's abuse of a child, right? Strip them away from their mother, who their siblings dead in the one case. Okay, the newborn's not coming home.
Sure.
So you're going through all of this trauma, and now you're in foster care, and mom is perhaps facing jail or something. But you're not going to be with her. You're with some family who's treating you like you belong in the system. It's sick.
And this is, the last thing I have to say is like, look, we talk about child separation when it comes to immigrants and migrants under Trump. That is egregious and wrong and a human rights abuse, but they're doing it to people who are documented. They're doing it to average Americans. Systems have no care for family values, real family values, keeping parents and children together, supporting them in their times of need. Even some social workers seem to have been complicit in these things. So it's just how the state views women.
Yeah, like they're just pushing paper, man. They could care less about your pleas, your cries, your depression. Fighting depression and the law, you're already thinking, God forbid, your baby's gone. Okay. You've had a major procedure. They were preparing her for a C-section. I had one of those. And now, hey, here comes the law. Francesca Fiorentini, it's been a pleasure, as she said, coming up for her and for so many of her fans.
The Bituation Room. Head on over to youtube.com/FrannyFio talking RFK Jr. And thank you so much, Sharon.
Yeah, appreciate you always. Best to you. And we'll be watching. This is Indisputable. I'm Sharon Reed in for Dr. Richie today. Thanks for joining us.